So yeah, thank you for just joining me. It's really awesome. Really happy I get to talk to you today. And without further ado, let's just get started with the first question. So my first question is going to be about the large number theory, about this theory in general. With the theory being that the more you play, the more that your winnings are going to match the odds. Could you possibly explain a little bit how that would come into play when it comes to gambling, or possibly how would that be a problem in general?
Yeah, so I guess to clarify my understanding of that is that my classical understanding is that in like the game of blackjack, the player, if you play exactly by the book, you have a 49% chance of winning. And so your expected payout on a $1 bet is 98 cents. So the expected payout is a little bit different because it's a ×2 thing. And so what that means is if you played 5 games, there would be a lot of variability. You could either win all 5 or lose all 5. And your variance, if you did a statistical sampling, if you did that trial 5 games 100 times, the variance in those readouts would be high. But the average winnings should, even at that low number of the low end, but many trials, the average winning should be right at like 98 cents. Now, what would be different is if your individual trial, instead of being 5 games, was 5,000 games. So it's a new, different experiment. And then we did 50 trials of 5,000 games, same number of trials, bigger trial, that you would have the same expected value, 0.98, but the variance would be very tight. There'd be a very small variance.
Yeah.
This is a super subtle statistical understanding, because what it's saying is that individual person is the trials. And so if the individual person makes 4,000 bets, they're in the second group where the variance is much tighter. And the large numbers is saying through all of that is that eventually the more trials you play, you're not actually having like different experiences. It's one extended experience, and that you're more, at some point, your winnings are going to be equal. Your expected payout will be 0.98.
Yeah.
And so the reason that this is really important is because recent gambling advertising is changed. The old model was that they wanted you to spend a bunch of money to come to a resort and have a single gambling experience and then go home, try to get you back later. And in that setting, you can think of that experience as 5 trials. And so it's really likely that if you went with 4 people, one person in your group is going to win really big. You're all going to go home. The other 3 people are going to be losers. That's quite a lot different than the online gambling model, which is about one user's continuous experience, because you don't leave the app that's on your phone. And so it's more likely in the new paradigm, lower bets are targeting a smaller number, like a smaller bet amount, that you're more likely to cast many as an individual, many small bets, which means that you're less likely to lose a lot of money, but you're more likely to lose money, period.
Yeah.
That could also be chasing the thrill of it, or do you think it's just the money, or do you think it's more also about the thrill of winning a huge amount of money, not just the actual money itself?
I think it's definitely the thrill. I think the money is like cool, but when you feel like you're on a hot streak, that's how casinos and gambling gets you, because you feel like you're on a hot streak and you feel like you're really lucky and you're doing good, and then you can lose all of it in just a second. That's how game shows work and everything like that. So.
Of course, it affects people mentally, and it affects people keeping doing it. But another part of that, though, is how do you think it affects people in their lives, not just them themselves?
You mean by like the lives of other people?
Yeah, like their family, their loved ones. How is it going to affect their loved ones, seeing them go through this, though, or physically, like it could actually like getting them involved, as in like, I'm not saying it's gone too far with you, you've seen it physically, but actually like taking money from certain places that's not belong to them, try to borrow money, a way to keep going.
Yeah, so I've seen secondhand, I've seen people who have spent all of their money at a casino or gambling, and they end up going out to their community or to their family and saying like, hey, I don't have any money, can I have some? And then trying to like take from those people, and that obviously can affect your friendships and your family, because that's not cool.
Trying to spend money they don't have. I get you.